नो ऑडियो प्रभु।
यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन जनरंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय, जय गंधर्विका गिरधारी गंधर्विका गिरधारी राधे, जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत शेष, लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत शेष, जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद,
ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजाचार्य स्तोत्र हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरण भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजाचार्य स्तोत्र हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद, श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन धाम की, श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारकाधीश धाम की, गंगामय जमुनामय की, भक्ति देवी तुलसी महाराज, श्री श्री गौर निताई, श्री गंधर्विका गिरधारी की, लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की, पिता गॉड, all glories to somebody, all glories to somebody, all glories to somebody, all glories to Shri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Cheva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayarudire
Tato Jayamudire
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naishti.
Okay. So,
एडवांस शेयरिंग करके होता है इसको
so today we are reading from 4th canto, 30th chapter, verse number 7. The chapter is entitled as Activities of the Prachitas. Kindly repeat. Vinayatastha Bhuja Mandala Madhya Lakshmya Isparadaj Shriya Parivrito Vana Malayadhya Varishmataha Purusha Aha Sutan Prapannan Parjanya Nada Rutaya Sagranavalokaha Vinayatasta Bhujamandala Madhya Lakshmya Spradha Shriya Parivrito Vanmalayadhya Varishmataha Purusha Aha Sutan Prapannan Parjanya Nada Rutaya Sagranavalokaha Vinayatasta Bhujamandala Madhya Lakshmya Spardha Shriya Parivrito Vanmalayadhya Varishmataha Purusha Aha Sutan Prapannan Prapanyanada Rutaya Sagranavalokaha Vinayatasta Bhujamandala Madhya Lakshmya Spardha Shriya Parivrito Vanmalayadhya Varishmataha Purusha Aha Sutan Prapannan Parjanyanada Rutaya Sagranavalokaha
विनायकाष्टभुजमण्डलमध्यलक्ष्म्या
विनायकाष्टभुजमण्डलमध्यलक्ष्म्या
श्रिया परिवृतो वनमालयाभ्यः
सर्वश्रिया परिवृतो वनमालयाभ्यः
बर्हिष्मतः पुरुष आह सुतान् प्रपन्नान्
बर्हिष्मतः पुरुषाः सुतान् प्रपन्नान्
पर्जन्यनादरुतया सघृणावलोकः
पर्जन्यनादरुतया सघृणावलोकः विनायकाष्टभुजमण्डलमध्यलक्ष्म्या विनायकाष्टभुजमण्डलमध्यलक्ष्म्या चर्चिर्या प्रवृत्तो वनमालयाद्यः सर्वश्रिया परिवृतो वनमालयाद्यः बर्हिष्मतः पुरुष आह सुतान् प्रपन्नान् बर्हिष्मतः पुरुष आह सुतान् प्रपन्नान् पर्जन्यनादरुतया सघृणावलोकः पर्जन्यनादरुतया सघृणावलोकः
विनायकाष्टभुजमण्डलमध्यलक्ष्म्या
विनायकाष्टभुजमण्डलमध्यलक्ष्म्या
वर्धश्रिया परिवृतो वनमालयाद्यः
पर्जन्यश्रिया परिवृतो वनमालयाद्यः
बर्हिष्मतः पुरुषा आह सुतान् प्रपन्नान्
बर्हिष्मतः पुरुषाः सुतान् प्रपन्नान्
पर्जन्यनादरुतया सघृणावलोकः
पर्जन्यनादरुतया सघृणावलोकः
Mataji. So we'll go to word meaning. Veena, stout. Ayata, long. Ashta, 8. Bhuja, arms. Mandala, encirclement. Madhya, in the midst of. Lakshmya, with the goddesses of fortune. Spardha, contending. Shriya, whose beauty. Parivrataha, encircled. Vanmalaya, by a flower garden. Adyaha, the original personality of Godhead. Varishmataha, of King Prachini Bharhi. Purushaha, the supreme personality of Godhead. Aha, addressed. Sutan, the sons. Prapannan, surrender. Parjanya, like a cloud. Nada, whose sound. Rutaya, by a voice. Sagrana, with mercy. Avalokaha, is glancing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Around the neck of the personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddesses of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Prachini Bharishat, who were very much surrendered unto him. Purport. The word Adhaya in this verse is very significant. The supreme personality of Godhead is the origin even of Paramatma and Brahman. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14.27, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. The absolute truth begins not with impersonal Brahman, but with the original personality of Godhead, Krishna. When Arjuna realized Krishna's greatness, he addressed him in this way: Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashwatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Ayam Vibhum. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth and the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original. And you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. Bhagavad Gita 10.12. The Brahm Samhita also says, Anadir Adir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. The Supreme Lord is not caused by anything, Anadi, but he is the cause of all causes. The Vedanta Sutra says, Janmadi Asya Yataha, the absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. The absolute truth is described as Adi Purusha. The absolute truth is therefore a person and is not impersonal. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Bhagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarini He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Bhakti Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Harite Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurteshe Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome all of you to today's Sunday Bhagavatam class. First of all, I would like to thank His Grace Harishet Prabhu for giving this opportunity to purify myself. I'm not qualified to speak, but somehow he forced me to sit here. And I seek that it is his blessing and blessing of all of you who are assembled here and who are attending this online and who will be hearing it in future. So this is a great opportunity for myself to purify myself and to try to be engaged in services of the entire parampara. Hare Krishna. So to start with, we'll be covering following important themes. This verse is primarily glorifying whom? So this will be interactive, like we call it as Bhagavatam class, right? So you be prepared. I'll ask you a lot of questions, and we have His Grace Sudhi Gopal Prabhu also joined us. So without his blessings, I somehow don't move anywhere. So he has come at the right time. So this is Bhagavatam class, right? So we'll make it as an interactive session. Like it is not going to be a monologue, right? So we'll have a good interaction. So the important things we will be covering is the glorious lineage. Glorious lineage of whom? Prachitas. Because this verse, primarily, Krishna has appeared in front of Prachitas. So let's talk about, who are they, right? Then we'll shortly discuss the activities of the Prachitas. Then Krishna appeared not in two-handed form, but in Ashtabhuja, eight-handed form. So let's try to understand the significance. And if there have been, similar manifestation of eight-handed form, right? Let's see that. Then, finally, when Prabhupada highlights Krishna in the purport, so we'll glorify Krishna, that how he's the most beautiful person. he is the most beautiful person, right? And then when we see that Prachitas saw Krishna, is there any chance we can also see Krishna, right? So let's discuss the qualification to see Krishna. And what is the importance of association of devotees in order to qualify to see Krishna? Right? That's again very important, which is highlighted very specifically and categorically through the entire fourth canto, also in the subsequent verse. The relationship between devotees, the relationship between the Prachitas. How many brothers were there? 10 brothers, right? So we'll see what was their relationship and what made various personalities to appear. Who all appeared in front of Prachitas? Who were the personalities who appeared at different time point? Lord Shiva, who spoke? Then who appeared? 800 form, right? On Garudji, right? And then in the previous verse we saw, what was Garudji doing?
Flapping the wings.
Just flapping, or by flapping his wings, what was he doing? Yes, by his flapping of wings, he can sing Vedic hymns, which were glorifying Krishna, right? So, and thereafter, finally, then after this episode, they would marry and they would rule the kingdom. And after ruling the kingdom, which is very, very briefly mentioned in Bhagavatam, right? What Bhagavatam primarily describes is meeting with Shiva, meeting with Bhagavan Vishnu, and then finally, after renunciation, after they decided that they will fully engage in devotional service, whom did they meet again? Narada, right? So, let's see. So, glorious lineage. Now, this entire discussion of fourth canto has been between whom? With Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So both of them are discussing. It is not just fourth canto, but also third canto, fourth canto, and fifth canto will also continue, right? Fifth canto will describe what? The story of Maharaj Priyavrata. Okay. So now the importance is also to see, like we saw in Parikshit Maharaj, he had his whole dynasty who were devotees of Krishna. Similarly, Prachitas, they were not sort of just simple people. They had a very, very devotional lineage, starting from Swambhu Manu himself. Swambhu Manu had 3 daughters and 2 sons, right? Devotee was mother of who is incarnation, right? And then Devotee had how many daughters? She had 9 daughters, of whom one was Anasuya. Anasuya also had 3 children. Now, who will name the 3 children Anasuya had? They were all partial expansions of Vishnu, not the brahmacharis. Brahmacharis are qualified to teach us. So, yes, Dattatreya is expansion of Vishnu Bhagavan. Then second was, who is expansion of Brahma? Som, right? And then who is expansion of the famous Rishi? Durvasa Muni is expansion of Lord Shiva, right? So glorious, right? So daughter of Devotee Mata. And then also Akuti married sage Ruchi, which is not very, it is very briefly described in first chapter of fourth canto. And then Prasuti. Mata Prasuti married Prajapati Daksha. And they had a daughter named, they had 16, but one of them was Sati. Sati married the glorious Lord Shiva, right? So such a strong devotional lineage. Shiva we know is Vaishnava Yatashiva, right? So, and then Shiva married Sati, and then we all know the episode of Daksha discussed in the first 7 chapters of fourth canto. And then came son of Uttanpa. Who was that? Dhruv Maharaj, right? And we have already gone through the whole story of Dhruv Maharaj. Only thereafter have we reached to the stories of Prachitas. So between Prachitas and Dhruv Maharaj, now who will name all the glorious devotees who took birth in this lineage. After Dhruv Maharaj, who came? Who was son of Dhruv Maharaj? Anga. Anga was such a devotee. Prabhupada writes in his purport that at that time, which yuga are we talking about here? Satyuga, right? At that time, Maharaj Anga was involved in Sankirtan. Prabhupada writes in his purport. And he was so detached that he decided that he will not be able to rule the kingdom. So he just was involved full-time in devotional service, like our brahmacharis, right? They feel that all this is useless. To enter in Grihasthashram is useless. It's waste of time, right? So Anga Maharaj was involved in, primarily he entered Grihasthashram, but primarily he involved himself in devotional service, like many Grihasthas in our lineage also, right? All of us also are very fortunate to have a very, very strong lineage starting from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? Krishna himself. So then came the, somehow there was a, mistake in the whole lineage, was born Vena, right? But Vena had a son, Prathu Maharaj, right? And Prathu Maharaj is again an partial incarnation of Krishna, right? And then in the lineage came King Prachini Barishal, right? Who, although was not a pure devotee, but having met a pure devotee like Narad Muni, what happened? He became a pure devotee. Nonetheless, even before becoming a pure devotee, because he was still following the Vedas, instructions of Vedas, he said, my dear sons, who were son of our Prachini Barishal? Prachitas. So he instructed them that before taking responsibility of Grihastha life, before joining the IT companies, what you should do? Huh? Tapasya. Because they, what did Harishad Prabhu say? Serving Brahmachari ashram. Prabhupada also wanted that, right? All the current Acharya, right? They also say that before you take up your Grihastha responsibility, the IT jobs, you should join Grihastha ashram, right? If it's the Brahmachari ashram, if you are not qualified to stay, right, to remain as a brahmachari, at least for some time, because that helps you in your consciousness when you enter the Grihastha ashram, because that Gurukula system is no more sort of practically existent. So it is important that, few years of life are spent in, and now the whole base system, and we also have in Bangalore so much. So this Prachini Prachitas, they followed the instructions of their father. They were very submissive. And because they were submissive, Vishnu Bhagwan said, these are going to be real devotees. They have the quality of being submissive, which is very important quality in our devotional life. And because they were so submissive, Prabhupada writes in the purport that the Supreme Personality of Godhead sent whom as their spiritual master? Lord Shiva, who is the Vaishnav, right? Lord Shiva was requested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to go and initiate them in the chanting of Rudra Gita, right? And Prabhupada again writes in the purport of 24th chapter of this canto. What does Prabhupada write? That the way these Prachitas chanted Rudra Gita, they followed the instruction of their spiritual master. They took the instruction of their spiritual master as heart and soul. So similarly, is there anyone qualified to go underwater and do tapasya for 10,000 years here? Right, and someone maybe from Satyuga here. We don't know, right? But if we are not qualified, then there is an option for us also. Why? Because when they followed the instructions of their spiritual master, they were bestowed by a boon. What? They were able to see Krishna face to face. So what are we going to do now? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for all of us. He is a Mahabhadanya avatar. No one can else help us, people of Kali Yuga, but for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Mahabhadanyaya. He's giving everything, this highest thing, which is love for free of cost, without any qualification constraint. Because if he had to consider any qualification, then all of us would not be sitting here, right? So Prabhupada writes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically came to he took birth, he appeared on earth, and he spread the glories of the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting that Hare Krishna Mahamantra sincerely, 24 hours a day is what Prabhupada writes. Krishna, not once, many a time in Bhagavad Gita, he has said Satatam, Nityam. Okay? So we are just 16 rounds is to start with. It's not the upper limit, but it is to start with, right? So whenever IT engineers, they join a company, nowadays we are going out on distribution of cards for the Gita course, and I happen to meet many IT engineers, and I talk to them what they're doing, where did they study, what salary they joined with and all. So they start with what salary? Maybe 4 lakh, 5 lakhs, right? Depending on which college and their personality. Is that their starting or the end salary? 16 rounds is to start with, right? Prabhupada said at least 16 rounds, right? If you chant 16 rounds, you will be qualified by mercy of your spiritual masters and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the entire Parampara, you will be qualified to see Krishna face to face. Prabhupada writes that. Right? If Prabhupada is writing, then Krishna can never not do that. Krishna will always, he is Bhaktavatsalya. He will do whatever his devotee wants. And his pure devotee is Prabhupada. If we hold on to his words, you can hold him accountable for what he said, right? You can say, Prabhupada, you wrote. So yes, if you chant, so we have to qualify ourselves to have that, right? And then Prachitas did, and they were merciful to have darshan of the lordships, right? So the activities of Prachitas we already discussed. They had fortune of meeting 3 great personalities. 2 were pure devotees, and then sandwiched between the two pure devotees was Krishna himself, who appeared in 800 form, right? So we discussed that. Now let's talk about, because this verse is specifically highlighting Astabhuja. I happen to have to speak, and I discussed with some senior devotees like Burijan Prabhu and all, and so it's important. Let's talk about the 400 form of Krishna, right? So in Rudra Gita, Shivji, what is Rudra Gita? It is glorification of the personality of Godhead by Shiva. We should not get confused that it is glorification of Shiva. Right? It is glorification by a Vaishnav, who is Shivji, of personality of Godhead. And specifically, he glorified the 400 form of Vishnu, right? Which is mentioned in the 24th chapter. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Mahavadanyaya avatar, showed various forms, right? He appeared in 200 form, right? He showed 400 forms many a times, right? Did he show 600 form to anyone? Shatbhuj. Whom did he show the 600 form? Now only the brahmacharis will say, they will only pass. This is Bhagavatam class, right? So to whom did Mahaprabhu showed 600 form? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Jagannath Puri, right? So we are all going to Jagannath Puri very soon, right? So we'll be there and we'll go to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and see, face to face, right? So now what happens? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed 600 form, and what was in those hands?
2 hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 2 hands of Krishna, 2 hands of
Rama, right? And then Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu show 800 form any time in his pastime? Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nimai, specifically Nimai? I am giving you a hint. Did Nimai show 800 form to anyone? And the next question will come, what was in his hand, in 8 arms? So, okay, who will tell? Whom did he show his 800 form when he was a little boy as Nimai? Yes, he showed to the Brahmana, right? Brahmana, when Nimai has not yet started his Sankirtan Leelas, right? Not yet started his manifested pastime, right? He was a small boy. At that time, a Brahmana came, and Jagannath Mishra, his father, Nimai's father, he was a very pious person. He was a devotee, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearing, that means Jagannath Mishra, right? What is his qualification? We cannot even imagine. So he would handle all the Vaishnavas, all the Brahmanas very nicely, carefully, right? So he invited, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited the Brahmana. Brahmana was invited, and Brahmana, then Jagannath Mishra requested, Brahmana, please have prasad here. Brahmana said, yes, I am a ISKCON devotee. What did Brahmana say? I am a ISKCON devotee. I would only eat things offered to Krishna. I don't eat any jalebi and kachori from outside anywhere. And he was a very strict Brahmana. He would cook by himself. He will not eat anything. So then Jagannath Mishra arranged for everything, all the bhoga material. And then Brahmana cooked, right? And it was late in the evening. And then Brahmana finally offered the bhoga. And some mysterious thing happened. At that time, this Nimai was not just Nimai. What was he? He was naughty Nimai. He was naughty Nimai. He came, and what did he do? When this Brahmana was chanting the Gopal mantra, what did he do? He came and ate the offerings, right? And then the Brahmana was devastated. What has he done? This little boy, this ignorant boy, so-called ignorant boy, what did he do? Oh, then Jagannath Mishra came and, Nimai, you are very naughty. You have spoiled the entire bhoga of Brahmana, and, he was very angry on him. But then Brahmana said, pacified him, no, don't get angry on this small boy. You please let him go. And Krishna willing, I'll just have some fruits and roots, and that's fine. That's usual for devotees, right? When we travel, many a times you depend on fruits, and right? So Brahmana said, but then Jagannath Mishra pleaded. He was Agrasta, right? Agrasta has to serve the Vaishnavas nicely. He pleaded and pleaded and pleaded. And then finally Brahman agreed, okay, fine, I'll cook again. And he cooked again. And it was going, late in the night. And then what happened? What happened then? That Brahmana again offered the bhoga lordships, and he again chanted the Gopal mantra. And this time the Nimai was kept away carefully in another house, right? But mysteriously he appeared again when the Gopal mantra was chanted, and again he did the same thing. And then Jagannath Mishra was like so furious. He was like, but then Brahmana pacified again. Krishna willing, whatever we do is Krishna willing. So we'll hold on, we'll not do anything, that's fine. I think so. It is Krishna's mercy. It's his wish that today I fast, right? And I'll eat just fruits and sleep. And Jagannath Mishra again pleaded, but he didn't listen this time. Then who came to plead the Brahmana? Who is Nimai's elder brother? Vishnu. When Vishnu came, Brahmana again agreed. And then Brahmana cooked. This time, he was not just kept in another house, he was locked. And there were devotees taking care of him, that he should not escape. Then finally, what happened was, Brahmana prepared the bhoga, and again he was chanting the Gopal mantra. Again the Gopal mantra, This time, Nimai took help of whom? Yogamaya. He made everyone sleep. And what happened when Krishna was going from Mathura to Gokul? all the chains and the doors and were unlocked and opened. Same thing happened here also. The door opened, Nimai went there because Gopal mantra was being chanted. So when you are chanting Hare Krishna, be careful. Be careful. Krishna is there, right? So Nimai appeared before the Brahmana. This time again he ate the offerings and he said, why are you doing this again and again and again? One time it could have been mistake, but why? And then finally Nimai said, because you are calling me again and again and again. What can I do? If you call me, I have to come. Right? When you call Krishna, Krishna comes. Only that we don't realize. Krishna came, Nimai came. And at that time, Nimai showed that Brahmana the 8-handed form. And what was there in his 8 hands? He has the 4 things which usually Vishnu carries. What are the 4 things? Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. In 2 hands, he had the butter. In 1 hand, he was eating the butter. And in another 2 hands, he had the common thing which Krishna usually carries in his 2 hands, which is Murli. Right? So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also showed his 8-handed form. Right? And we know that Prabhupada writes when in the 24th chapter of 4th canto, Shiva is glorifying, right, the beauty of Bhagwan. Srila Prabhupada is quoting verses from Brahma Samhita, that how beautiful is that Lord? How beautiful is He who attracts everyone, and not just everyone. There is a place in Braj, you know what is that? Madan Ter. As soon as you start your parikrama from our temple, the Vrindavan parikrama, the first important spot comes. There's first the Vara temple comes, and thereafter comes the Madan Ter towards the right hand side. Madan Ter is a place where this Madan fall flat in front of Krishna. What is Madan? Cupid. So, Kandar Pakoti Kamaniya, millions of Cupid. You know, he's more beautiful than millions of Cupid. Right? And now the question comes, why Lord Vishnu, and what is the relationship between Vishnu and Krishna? See, please try to understand. In the interest of time, I'll go brief on this. Vishnu Tattva, right? So Krishna is also Vishnu Tattva. And what is importance? When we worship our deities, we worship them in form of Lakshmi Narayan. Right? We follow which Vidhi? Pancharatrika Vidhi against Bhagavad Vidhi. Bhagavad Vidhi is also known as Rag. While Pancharatrika Vidhi is known as Vidhi. So there are 2 margs, Vidhi Marg and Rag Marg. Rag Marg is primarily followed by Brajvasis. Don't try to imitate Brajvasis. If you try to imitate Brajvasis, you will be qualified in a category known as Sahajiyas. We have to be very careful. Radha Krishna will accept your worship in a form of Lakshmi Narayan. Right? When you are taking care of your deities, don't become Sahajiyas. Like, I am worshipping Radha Krishna. So, the Brajvasis are qualified. And who are the Brajvasis? They are like friends of Krishna. Right? They are parents of Krishna. Parents of Krishna in Braj, who are they? In our Vrindavan, who are they? Nand Baba and Yashoda. Right? See, please try to understand that even to Devaki and Vasudev, Krishna started with not his original form, but with 400 form. Right? Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, if you see in 11th chapter, what did he show? Universal form. Right? And if you go out, Krishna showed universal form. Prabhupada said this universal form is, he showed so that the daily Kali Yuga incarnation should qualify themselves as incarnation by showing the universal form. Otherwise, as you buy potatoes, so you will see in Kali Yuga the so-called incarnations, right? So that is why Krishna showed the universal form. But thereafter, if you see from 52 to 54th verses of 11th chapter, Krishna says, now I am in my, when he came back to his 200 form, this is my original form, and this is very rare to be seen. And who can see that rare form, that two-handed form? Only devotees. But Duryodhana also saw. Did he actually see Krishna? No, he didn't see Krishna. You have to have an eye anointed with love to see Krishna. Otherwise, you cannot see. So we have to qualify ourselves to Braj Bhakti by following the Pancharatrika Vidhi, right? And we should not wrongly imitate the Brajvasi, right? And Krishna also showed, like we discussed, his four-handed form. Now there are, thousands and millions. Like in first canto, third chapter, we saw that the most important verse of Bhagavatam, as mentioned by Jiva Goswami, comes, right? Which is that Krishna's to Swayam word is the most important there, right? That Swayam word highlights the originality of the personality of Krishna, right? So they are all Vishnu Tattva when it comes to Tattva thing. But Krishna has four important things. What are they? Which the other, and it is Tattva is same Vishnu, but what qualifies Krishna as being the most beautiful is the Leelas, right? The four things. And what are the four? Right, Roop Madhurya, Leela Madhurya, Venu Madhurya, and Prem or what you call, right? His devotees, which also you cannot find elsewhere. Who will get a devotee like Radharani? Who will get devotees like Gopis, right? So these four things are not found in the other Vishnu Tattvas. That makes Krishna as the most beautiful personality within the Vishnu Tattvas, right? So don't get confused. Now, when you talk about beauty, you see the beauty in material world also. And what happens is you get attracted. And the name of Krishna is also attractive, right? What does the word Krishna means? Attractive. But you also get attracted. We all get attracted to the beauty of this material world. So how is Krishna different? See, Krishna is different in a sense. Krishna has a beautiful form, but also beautiful character. So what is the difference between the two? You can be attracted with a beauty, but you cannot remain affectionate to a person and attached to a person until and unless that person has a good character. For example, nowadays the boys and girls get attracted to each other by form and also by salary packages, right? But Krishna is different. Krishna's character is, what is so important in Krishna's character? You see, but Krishna's character is such a nice, he's Bhakta Vatsalya, right? So the two kinds of beauty is material beauty versus spiritual beauty, right? So in material beauty, what happens when a girl and boy sees each other? There is entanglement. But when we see Krishna's beauty, what happens is elevation, right? So there is a hell lot of difference between the two. And all the beauty which we see in this universal form world or also in the spiritual world, who is the source? Krishna is the source of all that beauty. He's the reservoir of all that beauty. Everything you see beautiful in this world and in the spiritual world, Krishna is the source, right? And there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita which highlights this, the next bullet which has come in front of you, his reciprocation. What is that verse? Ye yatha mama vartmano manusya vartu sarvasya, right? So Krishna reciprocates the wish of his devotees, right? As you want, like whatever relationship you want, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly, right? And Krishna is such that Cheto Darpan Marjana. What Krishna does? So you have made him already you have given him some responsibility. You have made him a what? Das. He is going to do the cleaning in your heart. Yes, he does. He does the cleaning. He is that loving master. Bhoktaram yagatapsam sarvalok maheshwaram suhriday sarvabhutanam. He is that loving master who does the cleaning. And then he resides in that heart. You don't have to do the cleaning. What you have to do is to just have a desire, to do little effort of inviting Krishna. Rest of the things he will take care. You just have to invite him, right? So, and we talked about Krishna's form in Vrindavan. Krishna's of all, even in Krishna's form, of all the various Leelas of Krishnavan, which are the most beautiful? Vrindavan Leela, right? So Vrindavan Leela, Krishna actually manifests his beautiful, not only form, but his character in fullness. In fullness, right? And here in this verse, there is a special mention of his glance, right? What was the word used? Rutaya, I think so. Nada. Nada Rutaya. Nad means voice, but here means glance. It's side glance. Have you ever heard of his side glance? Right? What does he do with his side glance? He mesmerizes everyone, right? So, of all the important, loving things which Krishna gives, his glance and smile, they stand out in themselves. Specifically, his glance and his smile. They're categorically, they stand out of all the things what Krishna gives us, right? So, and there's one more special thing that Krishna never forgets to give credit to his devotees. Now, we saw that how Krishna did everything in Kurukshetra, but he gave credit to whom? Arjuna and Bhima. And did he also do something in Kali Yuga? Mahavatanya Avatar did something in Kali Yuga also. Whom did he give the credit? Srila Prabhupada. What credit did he give to Srila Prabhupada? To spread the... That's why we are sitting here, right? Krishna decided that I want to give whole credit of spreading Krishna consciousness to my pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, right? And we are like, we cannot even imagine what we have, right? Sometimes kids don't realize if their parents give, them a diamond ring or a necklace, they don't know. So are we. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that in Shikshastakam. We don't know the importance, right? Only if we realize the importance of what we have, right? These devotees who are sitting around you, So what qualification do we need to see that Krishna? The qualification is loving relationship amongst brothers. This is what Prachitas manifested, which is what attracted Krishna to come before them. And that is what is Krishna going to attract to you also. Not your sadhana, not your bookish knowledge, not your beauty, right? Not your eloquence, but how you serve, how you support. And that is what we see has been manifested in pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. How many temples and farm communities and education centers did Prabhupada open? Almost 108, right? And today, how many are they? More than 600. And how is it possible? Would it be possible if his disciples would not cooperate, support each other? You see all of them. Can I ask you one question? Like, it's a personal question, but, you don't have to say yes or no or raise your hands. Something when you see your spiritual master on YouTube or something, how many of we bow down in front of them? Right? When we see our God brothers and sisters, how many do we bow down in front of them? But we know our spiritual masters, even when they see their God brothers, they being sannyasis, they bow down in front of their so-called externally grihastha God brothers and sisters. Not waiting for the other person to bow down, they will bow down. Even seeing them on videos, they will bow down. They're God brothers, not Srila Prabhupada. They're God brothers and sisters. So we should try to understand that is why we are sitting here. If these disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada requested them that if you want to show me your love to me, then what you should do? Cooperate with each other. So we have glorious examples in our life. We are so fortunate, right? And these Prachitas were submissive to their father. And we saw that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically highlights, like yesterday we had great fortune of Kartikeya Prabhu's association, and Prabhuji also highlighted this point that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his 2.41 commentary, what is that verse? We have Buddhi. So in that verse, he says that your life, your success in your spiritual life depends in your strictly following the orders of your spiritual master, not just orders. Now, if you follow the orders of a spiritual master, what will happen? Will you go to hell? But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that even if you seemingly think that by doing this you go to hell, you still have to follow the orders. That is the importance of following. We think, yeah, my Guru Maharaj has given me this instruction and this is so difficult to follow, and Maharaj doesn't understand my limitation, and this and that, and doesn't understand the relationship and so-called what we call special word politics, right? See, we see the relationships between devotees as politics. That is our standard. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sees the order of a spiritual master as life and soul, without caring of it. Not that you are going to go to hell. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning that to highlight the importance of following the instructions, right? So that is important. And we have to keep chanting the Rudra Gita. The way of chanting, Prabhupada highlights, the way Prachitas chanted Rudra Gita, we have to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That qualifies us, right? Engage all our senses in services of Rishikesh. Rishikesh means he is the proprietor of all the senses. So if I, for example, take key of your bike and go, and then that's all. You will call Harishat Prabhu, one devotee took key of my bike and he never came back. What will happen then? That's your bike. But all the things which you so-called think are mine actually belongs to the Bhoktaram. So everything the bike should be utilized for. Similarly, everything should be utilized, all our senses should be utilized in Krishna services. And finally, the highlighted bullet has come, is the association of devotee, which is going to qualify. Now, what is the importance is consistently highlighted in 4th canto. See, Krishna appeared, we listed all the personalities, the devotees, like starting from the Maharaj and all. And Krishna appeared in front of all of them, in front of all. And consistently, what did they ask for? Consistently, they asked for association of devotees. Hearing Krishna Katha in association of devotees is what consistently they have asked. You see, here I have mentioned the verses also. Everyone is consistently asking association of devotees. Give us the opportunity of hearing Krishna Katha in association of devotees. And we also have this fortune of having association of devotees. So we should think that this is what Dhruva said. I don't want to be the king of Dhruva planet, which is higher than this universe, right? No, I want association of devotees. Even Prahlad Maharaj asked for that, right? Yeah. Every devotee asks for one thing. That's more important than anything else, right? So we should realize how important it is. And when we have association of devotees, what should be our relationship with those devotees? We get association of devotees, right, at IBC. But what do we do with that association is also important. What is your mindset when you are coming to the center, to the temple is also important. How do you associate with devotees? What is your dispensation? What is your mindset? What is your attitude? What is your relationship? And Krishna highlights that, the importance of that. Again, we see in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, what are the 4 essence verses of Bhagavad Gita? What the essence of Bhagavad Gita? The 4 verses we said. What are they? No. What we say, Chatushoki. So what are they? Start with, you just tell me the chapter and the verse. 10 chapter, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So What is the ninth verse? Mat chitta mat gata prana. Both the yantas. What do you mean by parasparam? Devotee cannot do devotional service in isolation. If you think you are going to go to Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra in isolation, then you will already. Bhagavatam gives us a very nice example of Bharat Maharaj. Be careful. You do that. See, Prabhupada, when he was here in Vrindavan, he would warn his disciples, don't try to imitate, don't become sahajiyas, don't just see, when we are in association of devotees at IBC, we are well taken care of. They know who you are, what is your status, they give you instructions according to that. If you go out and Vrindavan is a place, and I have lived in Vrindavan, right? And I see that, morning Bhagavatam class, there'll be like a number of devotees, but another n number of devotees are going to various things. And when, our spiritual masters will come, he will just say that Prabhupada never wanted us to go. He said the entire Vrindavan is in the premises of Krishna Balram temple. Okay? So when it comes to this parasparam thing is important, the association of devotees, and, you have to be like, nowadays, all of you have taken corona vaccine. Huh? Is there anyone who has not taken? What does the vaccine do? Vaccine protects you. Association of devotees who know you, they protect you. Bodayantas parasparam. And then what happens after that? Kathayantascha cha mam nityam. Again, he loves this word. Krishna loves this word. And then what happens after you do this? Tushyanti cha. Then you will be in delight. Raman Reti is a place in Vrindavan, Braj. That Raman Reti is where, and this Ramanti will happen if you are in association with devotees and having a nice relationship. And thereafter, if you follow this, then follows the 10 point. What do you mean by word Tesham? Tesham means above. This one. Tesham means this. These mean 10.9. If you do that, then what will happen? Tesham. But Tesham also, there is again his favorite word has come again. Satatam. Again, Prabhupada also said 16 ounces minimum. We should try to. I see Madhugan Prabhu as this counter. He has, made a special thing. He has put a Tulsi thing on top. He says now I haven't touched the Tulsi also. So you can always do your 16 rounds in morning sadhana, but you can follow it up. Like when you are reading, listening, you keep chanting. With counter helps you out. Right? In consciousnness of Krishna. He loves that word. And when Krishna loves, Krishna only loves one thing, is butter. When your heart, which is as hard, our heart is as hard as a stone, when it turns to butter, then only will he take us, right? And that will happen only when we are following his instructions of Nityam and Satatam. That we should try. See? And then if we follow this, again his word has come Priti Purvakam. We should do this Bhajatam. Bhajatam is not anything else but for devotional service, and devotional service cannot be done again in isolation. Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Again Priti has come. So relationship amongst devotees should be with Priti. Priti Purvakam. Then Krishna gives his blessings. Then he gives you the required intelligence, the realization by which you can go back. Upayantita. Okay? You can go back to. So with this, we like to end the session. Right? So I just want to check if anyone has any question or comment or. Yeah, Prasadam. We are going next to the Prasadam. Yes, for sure. To understand. Thank you. You have to speak a little louder.
What is Sahajya?
What is? Oh, Sahajiyas. Sahajiyas is, artificially, like for example, Radharani. What happens is, there are many devotees, not devotees, we can call them rascals. There are many people whom you meet, and they say, what's the need of chanting? That is why Mahabodha Avatar did one thing, He also used chanting beads. This. Okay? Krishna himself used chanting beads. Now some people outside, they say, what is the need of, why you are showing this off? Why dhoti kurta and all? Why this thing? So, and they give example of Radharani. Where are the chanting beats of Radharani? Have you ever seen Radharani chanting? So they want to follow Radharani. Radharani, you know what did she say? She said, why Krishna has given these eyebrows? They are causing hindrance for me to see Krishna. That is her status. And whatever she did, she was always chanting. I still remember we were in Moscow, Russia. We did our studies there. And there at that time was His Holiness. That time he was not sannyasi. His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. And same question was asked. And he said, Radharani would always chant. Whatever she does, she would always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. She is personification of Nityam and Satatam. If we try to imitate her, by not following the rules and regulations, artificially following the senior devotees, is, Sahajiyas. For example, yesterday, day before, we were giving some discussion was happening. So there a devotee asked, like, we were talking about the 4 rules. And what is the favorite rules that Indians hesitate to follow? Tea. And we said, Indians will follow our spiritual master and they will say, only if this one rule was not there. Tea. So they say, Shivji also drank, all these things. So I said, Shivji also drank one more thing. Wish. So why don't you also try that? So that is Sahajiya. When you try to falsely imitate, that is Sahajiya. Second question.
आपने बताया कि भगवान विष्णु
हाँ
लेकिन कृष्ण करते हैं या कृष्ण विष्णु करते हैं?
आपका क्या नाम है?
मेरा नाम चंदन है।
चंदन, आपका अभी यहाँ पर बैठे हैं, आपका नाम क्या है? अभी आपका नाम क्या है? यहाँ पर आईबीसी में बैठे हैं सेंटर में, आपका क्या नाम है? चंदन। ऑफिस में जाएंगे, क्या नाम है? हाँ, वहां पर नाम बदलेगा नहीं, और घर पे जाएंगे तो ऐसे ही। कृष्णा is the original supreme personality of Godhead. He's the original. Please try to understand, when you go at different places, your personality is not going to change. But you are, that is why Krishna's body is different. He's a person, but his body is different from ours. His body is Satchitanand Vigraha. Right? The quality of his personality is total spiritual. There is no difference between his body and himself. While we are soul, and this is our covering, which is material. While Krishna's body, when he showed his Brahma Vimohan Leela in Bhagavatam, when in Braj, when Brahmaji came, what bewildered Brahmaji? And that will give you one more example of your first question. What happened in Braj, when he used to go out daily in forest, what will he do? He will eat, and then his friends will also eat, and when they eat, they also feed Krishna, right? They also. So what were they doing? Brahmaji knew very well that he is Supreme Personality, but he got bewildered. Why did he get bewildered? Seeing that how can Supreme Personality be eating from a jhuta hand, contaminated hand? How there's something I need to check. Why did Brahma do that? Brahma is a Sampradaya Acharya to set an example, so that you also don't do that. Then Brahmaji took all the calves and cowherd, friends. And then Krishna, what did Krishna do thereafter? Krishna doesn't want to make the Brajvasis morose. So what did he do?
Expanded.
Can you expand yourself? Chandan can be in office, one can be in the house, one can be in IBC. Krishna can expand because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Krishna. So he expanded in 400 forms of Vishnu, and all those become. So who is the source? Again, Prabhupada writes in commentary of Bhagavad Gita, the universal form, that Krishna was in 200 form. This universal form in the four-handed form came from which form? Two-handed form, right? Who is the source of four-handed in the universal form? Two-handed form. Yeah? So Krishna is the original, but the four-handed form is also Krishna. The gopis felt that, you know, how their love for their children and the cow's love for their calf increased substantially, as if they are associating with Krishna. So they are Krishna, same Krishna. Krishna can do that. So, you know, that is why sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he explained this philosophy, what do we call this philosophy? Achintya Veda Abheda. The first word is important. Achintya, you know, what is the English meaning? Inconceivable. Sometimes the physics, chemistry doesn't work there. It's a transcendental science, right? So, any other question, comment? So, I take this opportunity to thank all of you, and especially thanks to Sudhir Gopal Prabhuji and Harishet Prabhu and all the devotees, all the senior devotees, for giving this opportunity to purify us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it was a real nectar that was really flowing out of a Brajavasi's lotus mouth. So yes, Prabhuji is known for his sadhana, strong sadhana. He is known for his sincere swadhyaya, the way he studies. Prabhuji is known for his Gita classes. He's known as our Gita Acharya. He's been conducting so many programs. And he's also known for his seva, the way he has been serving so many Prabhupada's disciples and so many devotees. Right? He is really exemplary in so many ways. And our center is very, very fortunate and privileged to have Prabhuji's association and our Madhavi Radhika Mataji's association. So they have been really exemplary. Yes, they were living in such a glorious way in Vrindavan, but they said, okay, you have to go back to this Bangalore. From Vrindavan to Bangalore, they have come down, and they have been really inspiring all of us through their book distribution. Now they have decided to take one more responsibility of taking a Gita course along with Madhudan Pro. So we're very fortunate. So I'm sure the devotees that they would be coming in touch now over the next couple of months through both of them. Right, they will flourish wonderfully. So let's pray once again at the lotus feet of Gandharva Giridhari Sriman Mahaprabhu, Lord Nrsimhadeva Panchatattva, and our Lord Parampara to shower their infinite blessings upon Sri Gaur Prabhu and Mataji and family, so that they continue to inspire and guide all of us. Let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you might not believe, but yes, today was Prabhuji's first Bhagavatam class. Of course, he has given many Bhagavad Gita classes and so on. Right, though he was hesitant, but the way he spoke so authoritatively and so confidently, because it's really coming from within. Right? Offline. Yeah, offline live class. Right, Dr. Prabhuji has given so many classes, but we are very, very happy that Srila Prabhupada shower their umpteen and unlimited blessings upon Prabhuji, so that he comes with more and more enthusiasm and more fire that is there within, that can really spread to all of us. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So just a few announcements. Yes, Prabhuji talked about Sattam and Nityam and how do we increase our test for chanting of the holy name, and which he said last time, will be fortunate enough once again to hear this Harinam Chintamani. This is a mandatory session for all the devotees who are aspiring for initiation from our center. Once again, I'm repeating, this is a mandatory class for all the devotees who are aspiring for initiation, because that is Srila Prabhupada's instruction that the devotees should be trained well how to take shelter of the holy name and how to chant the holy name without offense. So I would request all the devotees, especially devotees who are chanting 12 rounds or 16 rounds specifically, they must attend this Harnam Chintamani session starting from tomorrow. So if you have not yet registered, please do register today. And it starts from tomorrow. So Monday to Friday, this session will be there. So I would request all the devotees to please take advantage of it. And yes, our Yatra, Puri Yatra is coming up. So many devotees are really looking forward to it. Like the registration is closed, but if still somehow somebody is missed, I would request the devotees to get in touch with Achit Arjuna Sakha Prabhu so he can give the last moment mercy. So if there is some opportunity, he can really see if something can be done. But yes, this is planned from April 25th to 29th. And then, yes, we have the Siksha ceremony coming up soon. So once again, it's a reminder for the devotees to always look forward how we can progress in our Krishna consciousness through the systematic process. So please be in touch with the Bhakti Viksha leaders and continue the Siksha process. Okay. I think anything else, Prabhuji? So any newcomer or anybody has joined for the first time today? Not yet. Okay, I think we should work more. We should try to bring more devotees. Okay, Prabhuji is there. Okay, Hari, yeah, please come forward. So we have a special gift for you from our center. So let's welcome Prabhuji. What is your good name? Darshan. Let's welcome our Darshan Prabhu by loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. You have also come for the first time? Oh, please come. You are here to receive the blessings of Srila Prabhupada through this nice book. Let's welcome you, Viresh. Let's welcome Viresh by loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you very much. So now we move forward to Narsingh.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Narasimhaya. जय केशवतीता नरहरि गोपाल जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जगदीश हरे नरहरि गोपाल जय जगदीश हरे लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय आनंद लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय आनंद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद जय शिला प्रभुपाद भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की